Hey, we're live. Episode 106, This Life in Tech. I'm Jason.
And I'm finally coming out of winter, Dan.
Oh, yeah, because it's 60 degrees warmer there today.
Yeah, it's like, so, the other days when I was waking up, it was like negative 20 all throughout the day. It's a whopping, as of this moment, 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Because remember, there's only two types of countries in this world. Those that use the metric system and those that have landed on the moon.
Yeah. It's 33 Fahrenheit here right now, but we're set to get back up. Yesterday, it was warm, man. It was super nice, like low, mid-60s. So it should be warm enough today to go out and ride and make up for my failure yesterday morning.
What was your failure?
Dude, you get into like 20-minute intervals.
Right.
And I've always had a problem with this. A 20-minute interval at 80, 90% full power, I can do one of them, no problem. But the second one halfway through, it's not a physical problem. It's a mental problem. Pardon me. So with an interval that long, with that output, you have to like pay attention. You got to concentrate, because if you stop concentrating, all of a sudden, I've always had this issue with how much time I've put in to the ride versus how much time I have left. What's interesting is this is only on a trainer inside. Outside, I don't have this problem.
Is it because you don't see the scenery?
I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. Riding inside's hard. Well, okay, so first of all, it's physically harder because you don't get the natural, like, soft pedaling. You know what I mean?
And you've got recycled air. It's...
Yeah, well, I use a nice big floor fan to blow air over me to keep me cool. But it's a mental thing of, this sucks. I don't want to do it anymore. That's really what it is. And so outside you get that, but then you can like coast down a hill without pedaling. That's soft pedaling, right? Where you're not really putting power in, but you're just spinning. And that's natural because you're going on the terrain. But those give you moments to rest. Where on a trainer, yeah, you can do that, but it's not really the same thing. You know what I mean? Because you're not going anywhere. So, I got halfway through the second 20-minute interval and I'm like, dude, this sucks. I don't want to do this. And I mentally broke. It's really that simple.
Yeah. So you got a big day coming up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give you just a little piece of fashion advice for tomorrow.
Hit me.
Maybe take like a half inch of both sides off your mustache. Go in there with that.
Dude,
No, don't do that. The flash is coming in. It's getting close to like a Tom Selleck like mustache. Yeah.
Yeah, man. In the past, I've tried mustaches before, but after a while I didn't like it. This one, man, I'm really digging. So we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah. But you got the big day coming up tomorrow.
Yeah,
man. I've got for myself a subcommittee meeting with the board, and then board stuff. I mean, it's just the next 2 weeks really.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is what it is, and it's not what it's not.
Well, I mean, we're all complicit in it as long as we continue to choose to show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is kind of funny. So the way I just said it, people will be like, "Oh yeah, it is what it is," and I'll reply, "Yeah, and it's not what it's not."
Right.
And they look at me and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "What you just said means absolutely nothing, and it's equally as nothing as what I just said."
Right. To me. The phrase "it is what it is" second only to "I'm just saying." Yeah, no shit. You just said it. I heard you. Like, what does that even mean? It's such a waste of words. It is what it is. No shit.
Yeah, that's why I start responding. And it's not what it's not.
Yeah. What I usually say is, well, what is it? Like, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. You're just wasting words, taking up oxygen.
Well, yeah, that's exactly when the people that come work for me tell me this is really hard, and I look at them and I go, of course it is. Otherwise, no one would need us. I don't want to hear that it's hard. Go solve it.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, life is hard, bro. I mean, it ain't that bad. You ain't got to worry about getting eaten by a tiger today.
Well, they might. I'm more of a lion, but.
Oh, man. Speaking of lions and tigers.
Yeah. it was kind of funny because, you know, yeah, of course, I've already deemed it that the Patriots are going to win. I don't care about the score. It's only because since I'm a Michigan guy now, you know, I'll allow Tom Brady to win one more. And then you had said, hey, is it soccer? I'm like, no, I don't watch soccer. But if I did, I'd tell you who would win there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Who are the Patriots playing? LA?
Yeah, they're playing the Rams.
Because it's the LA Rams now, right?
Yeah, yeah. They're like, and the Rams are playing like in some 20, I mean, their home stadium right now, because it's temporary. It's like, it only seats like 20,000 people. So it's like 70,000 lower than everywhere else. So there was a whole conspiracy that, you know, the NFL didn't want the Rams to win because of the type of stadium, or it was the Chargers. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't really pay too much attention to the West Coast teams because, well, it's the worst coast.
Well, man, and just in California, what is there, like 4 or 5 of them now? There's San Diego. Now there's LA. There's
San Diego,
Oakland,
LA, Rams,
San Francisco,
the 49ers, and then you had Oakland, but Oakland's moving to Vegas.
Dude, good. Maybe all the I don't know that you really ever experienced this, but when you live around LA long enough, there's a certain cross section of demographic that are Raiders fans.
Oh yeah, sure. And so what'll be funny is, again, here's another one of Nostradamus coming up. Within 5 years, internet gambling in the United States will be legal.
Why do you say that?
Because before, Las Vegas was persona non grata when it came to having any professional sports team, and now there's 2.
Right.
And the NFL, being the big dog, internet gambling will be legal within 5 years.
You know, it's always kind of amazed me because you can take poker, for instance, because like poker was okay for a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they put the kibosh on it. And obviously it still exists, just not in the same way. I've always really been curious why the stance was to try and prohibit it. It seems like a weird angle to take. Why not like be part of it? You know what I mean?
Well, my guess is that in casinos that are run in the United States, there is an algorithm for the most of it outside of table games, but the electronic, they have to prove the algorithm that it will pay out every so often. Right. But if all of a sudden it's deregulated and you go to the internet, any Joe Schmo can put one up, and there's no way to regulate it. So the way in which I believe this will occur is these companies will have to be owned by one of the major casino brands. That's how they're going to do this. And so these other companies will have to set up shop like in Atlantic City or Vegas and get regulated with improve their algorithm. That's my guess. Now they can't stop people from betting how much money they want, because the payout in terms of the percentage is the same. The money loss is not necessarily.
Well, and in fact, the reason I asked is because that's how I've always understood it and reasoned it as well. And that's why, like, if you take the European Union, for instance, there's a huge problem right now in the legislation around loot boxes in video games because it's gambling. Right. And games don't typically reveal the algorithm. They don't even reveal the probability distributions for getting certain loot out of X number of boxes, right? Right. And in the EU, that's mandatory. So they've been made to reveal those things. And sure enough, what do you find? Some of that shit's rigged.
Interesting. I would never have thought that, ever.
Oh, man.
I mean, say it ain't so.
I know, man. But yeah, man, it's interesting. So maybe that's a good segue. In those ways, is the concept of a federal regulation bad? I don't know. I think that's a tough gray area.
You know, I don't know if it's bad or not. I mean, part of the way in which I see the federal government is to, in some ways, ensure fair play as like a watchdog group would exist, right? You know, if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm looking to build a grocery chain or some type of mass market store to compete with Walmart, do I really want to compete with Walmart, or do I want Walmart to buy me? And many of them might not think that that's what they're looking to do. But if Walmart comes a knocking and they offer you some fat check, it's only so many times you're going to say no. But then why should the SEC come in and stop me? Is the SEC then going to pay me that money? Now, if the government will, they're going to. As an entrepreneur, I got no problem with it. As a taxpayer, I have a huge problem with that. All right? But
yeah.
That's kind of how I see that part of it. I hate this aspect of, especially when it's publicly traded companies and the SEC, like they stopped the Sprint T-Mobile deal, or no, the Sprint and I'm sorry, AT&T and T-Mobile to merge.
Right.
Why? Oh, it's going to decrease competition. Really? Because I can go to any mall and see like there's 7 different carriers. Just because you think Verizon, now AT&T, and Sprint are not that's plenty of competition. Sure. Never quite got that. And I disagree that they should be able to do that.
I agree with you, and I would add to that, if $1 of my tax money has to be spent somewhere in this area, I would much rather that dollar be spent in some type of federal consumer reports or in some type of federal standard development. So you can talk about like gambling. I don't need the federal government to tell me that gambling can be addictive or bad or can be rigged and so forth and so on. What I want the government to do is to create the standard such that those algorithms are made transparent and open, like cryptography, right?
Yeah.
That's the concept. So that you can look at it. Okay, and then now you need a little bit of education so that you can understand it and participate in it. Perfect. That's called citizenry. The way I look at it. And I'd much rather the dollar for dollar be spent in that area than the SEC. I mean, what do? They don't bust the real criminals as far as I can tell.
No, they definitely don't. I mean, there's so much shady stuff that goes on, and part of the shady stuff that goes on is I'm still not quite sure as to how Congress is exempt from insider trading laws. This one kind of is mind-boggling to me. I mean, I'm just, I know I'm just a simpleton citizen that's only average, but for somehow that just doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Yeah, that's a broken model. I mean, that's putting the fox in charge of the hen house as I see it.
Yeah, I'm not getting those things. There's plenty of better use of our tax dollars to spend on increasing our, let's say, quality of life, whether that is directly for trying to figure out what a possible living wage would be, and what they would need to do in order to have one, or I don't know, how about coming up with figuring out ways to have better water quality?
Yeah,
our grid, infrastructure.
Well, and so this is what gets me about like the universal guaranteed universal income conversation. People forget that we already have it. It's called the military. That's a guaranteed minimum income.
Yeah.
If you're a service member, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be that way. I'm in support of it. I'm just arguing that maybe we could scale some things back or rearrange some priorities such that every citizen of the United States had that same deal.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It'll make things much simpler.
Well, and so we've seen how it works in other countries. And so this is the thing you always have to consider, though, is if it happens in the US, it's going to happen on a massively different scale than it's ever been tried before. So you can say it works like in Scandinavian countries. Yeah, okay. But those countries are like the size of Los Angeles. And Los Angeles ain't the only biggest city we have. I mean, so who knows how it's going to work at scale? So maybe you put the states in charge of it and let them manage themselves.
Right.
And as a federal government, you just say, look, here's the standard you have to meet. How you meet it, what you do above and beyond that, if you want to attract more citizens to your state, that's up to you. But this is what you have to do at a minimum. This is how you do it.
Right. I mean, I would believe that it would overall be cheaper than welfare.
Sure, it sure would be. I think it not only is it cheaper in just pure economics, dollars, but it's cheaper in the long-term cost of what it is to maintain a citizen.
Probably, because then also you remove an entire, federal government department. They're no longer needed.
Right.
Which actually not the federal government, for the most part, state as well. It's here it is. Here's your money. That's that. I mean, I don't know exactly how much it would wind up being, because not everyone would get it, because having a minimum living wage where you're basically doing something to help keep, your environment, clean, let's say.
Right.
Say if the average, family is only making something in the United States like 50 grand, well, then why shouldn't, then let's remove that and go, okay, as an individual, you get 40. You want to make more, you have opportunity, but this is it. And I would also go like more so along the lines of, a Starship Troopers like piece.
Yeah.
While your acceptance of the minimum wage, you don't have your right to vote. You're a resident, not,
Yeah, you're not a full citizen. Right. Well, and this is something people forget too. Even our poor, when you take it out of just the United States and put it into an international worldwide context, are still in the 1% of wealthiest individuals in the world.
Yeah.
Even our poor, not the people below the poverty line in the U.S., but the people at or slightly above. Okay, well, then all you got to really start with it, the way I see it, this would be my platform, would be to take those below that and figure out how to get them up to the line. Just start there. And so, of course, you're going to get people that take advantage of it. Of course, you're going to get people that just sit around and play video games all day. I don't care about those people. That's not the people I'm trying to save. I'm trying to provide an equal opportunity for those people that otherwise would be productive citizens, but they can't because they got stuck in a shitty situation. You can't control where and when you're born. That's completely out of your control.
I absolutely agreed. And it winds up getting us to a position where now all of a sudden someone, because I would even go so far to say, okay, let's say, just, thinking about you don't get your entire living wage because you decided to go to college, right? So you got your college paid for, but you have to do some type of service, for 6 years after college. And then you don't have to pay any of that back. But likelihood, if you went to college, you're going to be making more than the 40 grand. And that's kind of the goal, and part of what we had, why we're talking about this, which is something that's really irritating to me. Yeah, I don't, as much as I see the different things of what Apple is doing and Facebook is doing, and people saying that Facebook needs to be heavily regulated. I 100% disagree with this. And a comment that was made was, I said, as I'm constantly telling anyone, let the market decide. And I even go so far as to say, when it comes to restaurants and bars, why are they having to stop catering to people smoking inside? Hey, make that a smoking bar. As a non-smoker, if I don't want to go there, I won't. The market will decide which way things need to go. Same thing with Facebook. They're not really losing money. So from all of this things that have occurred, and the response was, the average citizen does not have the wherewithal in order to be able to make these decisions. Well, that sounds like we're going back to the beginning times of our country, where the Constitution basically said the only people who could vote were landowners.
Right.
Well, if the average citizen can't make that determination, that's not Facebook's fault. There can be a watchdog group. We've got stuff like the ACLU. We've got stuff like EFF, and there's others that are out there. And it's all over the news. If the average citizen hasn't figured out at this point in time that they're the product and they're being made money off of, well, that's on Facebook for finding the, even though it was not P.T. Barnum, and never really said this, that there's a sucker born every minute. Well, Facebook figured out a way to make that true. they should not be punished for that.
I was just going to bring up P.T. Barnum and say that P.T. Barnum didn't get rich off people that were aware of what was going on.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, they even knew the stuff was not real, but they wanted to see what crazy things he would come up with.
Of course, man. And who's to say anything about that other than
he put on a good show, right? And
aren't you entertained?
Right. Facebook, I'm not on Facebook, because I realized what they were doing, and I just didn't want to be a part of that. But there's plenty of people that enjoy that entertainment, and they're getting it for seeing some ads.
Right. Well, and so here's the short-sighted thing too. Calling for government regulation actually is anti-job. Because the way I look at it is there's some phenomenal entrepreneurial opportunities around whatever you want to call it, training, education, awareness, instruction. And whether that's a business, for-profit or non-profit, or it's just community service, there you go. There's another part of your citizenship.
There's a lot of things that can be done. Yeah. More regulation is not the answer. And saying that the average person can't figure this out, then that would tell me then you believe the average person has an IQ of less than 80.
Right. Well, right. If somebody says that, they must have some really dim friends. And I don't understand that.
And an outlook on humanity that would essentially say we're not going to survive.
Well, right. And I think that tells you a lot about their ego. Whereas they've figured it out, right? They're the knowledge holder. They're the priest at the pulpit, but the rest of you peasants.
Right. I have to take away all your rights because I am the protector. You're not able to figure these things out. You need me to be that. No.
Well, and the science says the exact opposite is true. The more you empower people, the more people that are going to actually do stuff. Of course, there's going to be outliers, especially in a population this large. We have 350 million people in this country, bro, give or take, right? I mean, call it 300 million, be conservative. That's a lot of people. Not everybody's going to be interested in doing the right thing. Not everybody's going to be interested in making themselves better. Okay, but why? This is my argument. I get really worked up about this too, as you can tell. Why are we building things to the lowest common denominator? We should be building things to the middle and the top. To the middle to raise them to the top, and to the top so that they can become even more top.
Well, the only answer I can come up off the top of my head is just laziness. That's it.
Fear.
Mm-hmm. Fear. Yeah. There are more people that are low performers, therefore you're targeting them and what they may like. I mean, there was a reason why the Colosseum was the Colosseum, right? Everyone wants to see blood in one way or another. You know, it doesn't have to be figuratively where we're seeing people combat it out, but people want something that is, I mean, the masses, that is, they want something that's easy. Easy to understand, easy to do, but then there are those like Facebook that take advantage of that.
Well, and I think that's part of the attractiveness of Facebook too, is I think you would agree maybe. Part of the problem that we have to figure out how to solve, because I don't think anybody's solving this yet, is the pace at which our technology is expanding to create richer and, let's say, higher volume information feeds is far outstripping our ability to actually handle it. And I think that's part of the problem, is there's so much information now coming so quick that, I mean, honestly, a reasonably average person, what are they supposed to do? You have to get little sound bites here and there. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Because we're overwhelmed. No, it's not the technology per se. It's the amount of data that we have access to that's just hitting us constantly. There's no way for many of us except to grab sound bites.
Right, because there's no curation of it. It's just
right, which is why you know, I curate the stuff that I get. Right, I know what I'm interested in.
Right, and I think that's what Facebook does for the average person.
Yeah,
it's a portal into this little slice of existence.
Right, and this is the thing that I believe many people just are not giving Facebook credit for. Facebook provided and still provides a way of reconnecting with people that are not in your geographic circle anymore. You know, it's a way of posting things for like-minded people to collaborate. They still do that, but the cost is not necessarily what everyone should be bearing. You know, that is, and from someone like me, I figured that out, and that's why I use Twitter. That's why I use LinkedIn. The amount of things of me that could be sold from a Twitter is far less than a Facebook. LinkedIn is it's professional, it's business. I don't care so much of what my personal stuff is going to be, because it's only professional, and that's the reason why I'm on those platforms. Facebook was too much. People could add me to things, and I had no say over it. And they could do something that inadvertently took away my right to opt out. And that's the part where I no longer wanted to deal with. And that's why, like, in whatever it was, 2014, I think, is when I finally just said, enough's enough.
Well, you know, let's look at the bright side. Facebook has shown us technologically how to build a platform like this. Their continued operation of it may be questionable, right?
Yeah, sure.
Their own ability to operate their own platform is what I mean. I don't think they need to regulate it. What I'm excited to see is what comes next. And this is why, to a large degree, I'm really disappointed in Google+. In fact, I just got my email yesterday telling me what the final date was for my profile. How did Google not figure that out? Because they're collecting just as much, if not more, data.
Sorry, say that again. What did you get an email on?
The end date for my Google+ profile. Google+ is going away.
Oh, okay.
And so it kind of surprises me that with the volume of information Google collects, which I think is vastly probably more than what Facebook gets, because it's so much more diverse, right, from all their services.
Yeah.
How they didn't figure out how to do this in a way where, let me give you a counterexample, maybe more of an analogy. I know you don't have the best opinion of Elon Musk, but you saw just yesterday, I think it was, or 2 days ago, Tesla released all of their patents to the public. And so the idea in the press announcement, he said was, I want to share what we've done so somebody else can come along and do it better than we can.
Well, that will be easy, because someone will be able to, because his product is shit.
Well, but he built the blueprint.
Well, you know, he paid for people to build the blueprint, and he took all of their credit. I mean, I kind of look at him, different than the namesake that he has taken for his company.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
He's a great showman, just like Tesla was also. So I think it's only fitting that would occur, because, you know, Nikolai Tesla did the same thing. So I do, but though in reality, that is something that I do think it's noble, because I mean, he is one, probably realizing he can't compete on a mass scale. Which is why I said that company is going to sell. And I still believe it's going to be Hyundai. I think they're going to be the ones that come in there, because they're starting to become a major player with what they're doing with their new brand. It is winning awards left and right. I'm actually even thinking about, with that Genesis brand, that might be a car that might be the one I get next. I mean, it's, you know, in my MBA program, there's some people that work for Ford, and they are highly impressed with what Hyundai is doing. Now, it's not, I don't know that Tesla will sell to that, but I mean, the bottom line is this. I believe Elon is a businessman, and he's going to, whatever money he can make the most out of. And I think he's more interested in things like SpaceX and boring. Tesla is what got him a high enough profile to get those companies launched.
Right. But so my analogy then, to complete it, is, so think what would happen potentially for the betterment of our species if Facebook, or even Zuckerberg directly, came out and said, look, here's how we do it. This is how you build this kind of social network system. Here's the blueprint. Here's all the patents. Here's the technological blueprint, or landscape, if you want to call it that. Go build something better if you can.
Well, I think it's well, in theory, that's great. There's a big difference between Elon doing that and Zuckerberg doing it.
Well, there is. What I'm saying is, imagine what if he did.
Yeah, if he did, I don't think there'd be any change with Facebook. It's already established. I don't see people leaving, but with what Musk is doing is much more noble because it's our main mode of transportation. It's still
Right.
a car in the United States.
Right.
Don't know about that in Europe. It doesn't appear to me that people are as, we'll say, involved with their vehicles. That there's still much more mass transit, bicycles, things like that. Motorcycles are huge in Europe and in Asia, India. But I don't think it's not like it is here in the United States.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I don't know what would have happened because there's one. The other difference I really see is Facebook hasn't created anything other than a way of connecting people. We've always had ways of doing it. He just found a better mousetrap. But Twitter, it still hasn't been as successful as Facebook. And so what does Facebook do? They start buying up some of these other social medias. I think they also own Instagram. Do they own Pinterest too?
I think so.
Yeah. And then they own, WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing things that kind of augment what they do today. I mean, Twitter, I enjoy Twitter, but Twitter doesn't have the user count increasing per month anywhere close, even in the prime. They didn't even come close to Facebook. I am impressed that Zuckerberg has been able to maintain this level for so long. I mean, in reality, what did they really do different than MySpace did?
I can tell you, I never used the MySpace.
Yeah, I mean,
but fundamentally, it's not that different.
Right. I looked at it. I think the biggest thing is because Zuckerberg was a student. He realized students like this kind of thing, and therefore he went after other universities, and he basically did it as a grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
It was his methodology, not so much the platform. And Musk is actually creating something. He has created a tangible thing. And the battery aspect is probably, to me, the most important because we have not made as many leaps and bounds in technology anywhere when it comes to the battery, like with a CPU and memory and processing power. that aspect of what he's done with the battery could have huge implications across society.
Right. Now, to wrap this up, would you agree that none of this would be possible if the federal government was heavily regulating these let's say, verticals?
Oh, there's no way. If it was that heavily regulated, I mean, none of this. People go to the government out of fear. But guess what? The government doesn't want to do any of that stuff either, because the people in Congress are still people, and if they put regulations on stuff like this, there's not going to be competition, and they can't line their own pocketbooks. They have no one that will bribe them to make certain regulations for them.
Right. It's self-defeating.
Yeah.
You'll never get, if you don't like, the best thing you could do if you don't like Facebook is to not let the government regulate it, because if the government regulates it, you're never going to get a competitor.
Never. If you don't like Facebook, you could do like what I did. Just get off.
Yeah. Build something better. Fine, because there are small replacements out there.
Oh yeah, there's little nooks and crannies. I mean, you've got there's several little tiny ones that people have stood up. The Jester put one out. There's some other people that have got some other things like that. I just don't have the time for it. I go on Twitter because micro news, and I like to post my thoughts. It's micro blogging, and now I'm only limited to 280 characters, which is perfectly fine. I'm not looking to have any of those kind of things out there.
Right.
For more than 280 characters. I mean, it's a way for me to post something that's interesting or to see my news. I can filter my news. And I still use Google.
Right. Yep. I agree, man.
Less regulation.
It's just a childhood fear of the unknown. No, man, we don't need more.
All right. Speaking of that, of what I might have someone else that I'm interested in watching some UFC fights on.
Who's that?
Ben Askren.
Yeah, well, they booked that fight against Robbie Lawler coming up.
Yeah, is it next weekend or the weekend after?
Dude, I don't know. Did you know there was a UFC last night? I didn't, but there was.
I vaguely knew there was like a fight night, but not a pay-per-view.
I can't tell you one person that fought on it.
Neither. But I did watch clips of the video conference. And, Ben Askren's kind of funny. Who knew he had a humor? He goes, hey, I could see Dana White, 80-year-old Dana White. He's in smoking a cigar going, ha, ha, ha. I got someone to beat Ben Askren's ass.
That's how it is, though, man.
And Dana's response was, I think you're hanging out with Woodley way too much. All these fighters, they have this fear, like, I'm trying to find people that just beat certain people. No, I need to put on a good fight. And that's it. I don't care who wins. I have to put on a good product.
Right.
And and Ben Askren basically said, look, if I had to pick someone that had a really good chance to beat me, it's going to be Robbie Lawler. He's got the skills that I believe counter, that really attack my weaknesses. And it's going to be a good fight. Look, I came here to be the best. And, he mentioned someone else he would rather have fought just because he wants to shut him up. I don't remember who it was, but he was kind of funny. It was a funny press conference.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I might pay to watch that one. Because I've always liked Robbie Lawler forever.
Yeah.
He's just a fun, he's like Cowboy Cerrone or Connor. He's going to fight. It ain't like he's going to be like, dude, he ain't going to mentally break, right?
Right.
And from what I've seen, Ben Askren is the same way. He's durable. He's ready to get in there and get it on, and that's that.
Well, and the thing is, it's hard for people to stop. I mean, Ben Askren's a top-level wrestler.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like really, really, really good.
And the way he talks trash is funny. It's not like the way Connor does it, where he gets it just seems funny to me. So
he has a very Midwestern sense of shit talking.
Yeah, which is not very good. In this case, he's perfected it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I am kind of interested in seeing him fight. But I don't know if I'll pay for it. I'll probably go somewhere and watch it. It's cheaper.
Yeah. The other rumor this week that was going back and forth is whether or not the next Khabib fight is going to be against GSP.
I don't think so.
I don't know, man. I mean,
GSP will destroy him.
What's that?
GSP will destroy him. I mean, it would be funny.
I think so too. Yeah. But man, that's a big money fight. Dude, put that on the same card as Cowboy and Connor. Dude, that's a banger.
No, there might be a fight in the background before anything ever happens, and neither one of those fights will go on.
Screw it. Charge tickets for that too.
Yeah, might as well. But I think people severely severely underestimate the weight that GSP has over someone like Connor and Khabib. It's massive.
Yeah.
And it would not be pretty for either one of them.
No.
GSP also has a high level of jiu-jitsu. I mean, GSP might, if I could put him in the same weight class as John Jones, that would be the fight that I would want to see. But even still, John Jones is too big for GSP.
Yeah. I mean, if you could equal everything out one way or the other, have them meet in the middle somewhere, which you still can't do because the size difference is too big.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know if there's ever been, and maybe I don't know if in the future you'll ever see such an exceedingly well-rounded fighter like GSP.
Yeah. I would agree. It's, Silva was good, but I just don't think he has the dominance that GSP has. I mean, GSP lost what, 2 fights? One to Matt Hughes, and then one to Matt Serra.
That's right.
And he got clipped. I don't know if he took Matt Serra lightly or not. But he got hit. And you know what? He hasn't barely been touched since then.
Well, look, his style of fighting, we've talked about this before, isn't necessarily the most exciting to watch. But in saying that, it's because it's so dominant. And I think the reason people think Anderson Silva was more of the greatest of all time, maybe like John Jones to some degree, is because I think he fought cans compared to GSP's weight division. And he took him apart and knocked him out. So it was exciting, so you remember it. People don't remember or understand what it's like to take somebody that's really, really, really good and hold him down and beat him up for 5 rounds.
And he did. And GSP used to not do it that way, but he said, well, wait a minute. You can't stop me from taking you down. And then when I get you down, I can keep you there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like with others that would just sit there and just lay on top of you. Like, GSP was actively working to punish you. And he did it. What was that cat's name that he wound up doing to her? He tore his groin muscle in like the first round and still did it. And I can't remember what that cat's name was, but he was left-handed, had a big old burly beard.
Johnny Hendricks.
Yeah, Johnny Hendricks. I mean, that dude threw bombs, right?
Yeah.
GSP did it against Nick Diaz.
Yeah.
Nick Diaz is no joke.
No, it made him look like a kid.
Yeah. And Nick Diaz has a high level of jiu-jitsu.
Super high level. And cardio for days.
Yeah.
He was completely neutralized, man.
Yep.
Completely 100% neutralized. And yeah, that fight wasn't that. I think actually we might have watched that together at Buffalo Wild Wings, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't that exciting. I think I might have taken a quick little siesta. But man, you got to respect the dude for just taking somebody and doing whatever he wants with them.
That's how I feel every day when I go to work.
Yeah, me too, brother. So yeah, man, there could be some really good fights coming up if they can get the paperwork signed.
Yeah. Now, what I thought was funny is Khabib's camp came out and said, "We'll never fight in Vegas again." Don't lie.
Yeah, sure you will. Because the last time I checked, even in Dagestan, they have money.
Yeah. You'll go wherever the UFC tells you to fight. This is what I think is so interesting, that people believe like that they get to tell the UFC when they're going to fight and when they're not and who. No. You're under contract and you could go somewhere else, but that does not have the money that the UFC has. Right. That's what they forget.
Well, I mean, look, to be fair, you can choose to not fight when they want you to fight, but look what happened to the Diaz brothers. Now you don't get asked to fight anymore. Yeah. Well, I wonder why. Because you don't fight.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. The reason why Conor gets whatever he wants, he's never pulled out of a fight, and he's gone last minute on I don't know how many occasions, and he fights.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Cowboy. And that's the funny thing about with Cowboy that Dana had said at one point, he wished he could put together a fight streak of wins so he could give him, because he likes to watch him fight, but you don't know which Cowboy is going to show up. The one prepared or the one not prepared.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Has he been wakeboarding too much?
Yeah. And you know what? And I'm not a big fan of Woodley. I just don't. I think that cat makes too many excuses about what not to do. I'm not into that. You're a fighter. If you're a fighter, fight.
Right. Exactly.
Who's your profession?
Yeah. Look, man, I don't know the dude's life. I don't know if he's discriminated against because of his skin color, how true that is or not. But the fact of the matter is it's only more true because that's what you keep saying is true. You're creating the truth in that way.
I don't see how they could say that. Look at John Jones.
Well, and so this is the one thing John does do other than screw up is when he's not screwing up, he does show up and fight. And he doesn't make he really doesn't make excuses.
Next month.
Yeah. And that's the problem. That's why I don't think anybody really likes Woodley. He's a great fighter, dude. He's super skilled. But if you're only given 1 minute to talk And in that minute, you got to make sure you're promoting your next fight, whoever it is, right? Are you going to spend time talking about what you're going to do? Or do you want to spend time talking about why you can't do all these other things? And that's what he does. And that's why nobody wants to listen to him.
Nope. No one wants to listen to him.
No.
I won't pay for any of his fights.
No, I won't either, man. And it's not because they're not exciting. His destruction of Wonder Boy was awesome. But dude, I'm not a fan of the guy. I can't get behind him. Too much bullshit.
And I don't have time for that.
No, well, and so I'll watch John Jones. I won't pay for it, but I'll watch it the next morning because part of the excitement is I want to see when he pops hot again because he did again.
Yeah, dude, he did. And they're saying it's this pulsing stuff. And like you, I've done a little bit of research. You've probably done more than I have. I can't find anything in the literature that says this would occur. Now, maybe I just haven't found the right spot. But this is a thing that I think people should understand. All right, let's say they have found something that it would prove this. Well, I would say not even prove. That would lead us to believe this is possible. You've got to have enough people doing steroids in enough different population groups around the world in order to study this.
That's right. Well, I mean, here's the simple fact of the matter. This is what keeps getting overlooked. It's only in his body because he took it. Okay, and you punished him for it. You know what the rules say? The rules are very clear for the Athletic Commission. If you have a substance in your body, you are not to be licensed. Period. Period. So this notion of continue to give him licenses while the science figured this out, because you know what? Maybe because of the increase in sensitivity of the instrumentation, you can detect it now. Maybe that's true. The science doesn't exist yet. It has to be created. But why are you letting the guy fight while you're trying to figure it out? Because you don't know if he's microdosing, which he probably is. That's why it keeps showing up.
And only because the fun thing is they said like right after the fight, they didn't see it. And then a couple of weeks later, they see it.
And again, dude, it's like 3 times now.
I just say, fuck it. Let them all do whatever the hell they want. I don't really care.
Well, but that's what they did with testosterone in the beginning. They defined normal range for your age bracket and so forth and so on. And then you could file a use exemption to go above, right? And then they got rid of that. And now this is what you get. Listen, man.
And that's the thing where I say that Michael Bisping was, pretty accurate. The people they lost to outside of GSP were all popping hot.
Yep. Or we're on a TUE like Dan Henderson.
Right. He's saying, look, these people are all they're enhancing themselves. I'm not. So, and I always liked watching Michael Bisping fight and talk.
Yeah.
He was just fun for me.
I thought he's always been a great journeyman. Yeah.
And the best part is I do not like Luke Rockhold, and he knocked him out. He's whatever, Luke. You beat me the first time, but I came in. I learned. I figured it out, and I've got the belt.
I agree.
And then he goes back and he beats Dan Henderson. I mean, Dan Henderson was like 80 years old, but
yeah, barely able to walk like Chuck.
Oh man! All right, brother. I got to end it for today on my side.
Yep.
I got stuff to do.
Me too, brother. I might go for a bike ride. It's getting sunny out. That's episode 106. Done.
Have a great week.
Later, everybody. Peace.